Are you on the hunt for the perfect grandmother name? Well, I'm here for you. How about bad money? Oh yes, it is a name, and I'll give you more of the backstory on that one in a little bit. Hello friends, and welcome to the heart of Nanaland, where adventure is brewing, but so is the coffee. Now, my name is Lynn, but my grandmother name is Nana. And a little while ago, a friend sent me an article about a woman who was going through the process of trying to determine her grandmother name. And in that article, I pulled out 10 what I thought were really special names that might inspire you on your journey to finding the perfect grandmother name. So let's just jump on in. The first name is Coco. And that name came about because the grandmother-to-be was at a baby shower, and her friend noticed that her initials, K-O, would make a really cute name, Coco. And she said, that's it, your grandmother name needs to be Coco. And she thought it was cute. She took it and stuck with it, and now her grandmother name is Coco. So you might consider your initials. They might make a really fun grandmother name. Another one of the grandmothers used to have her son-in-law call her Millie, which was short for mother-in-law, M-I-L, Millie. And then when she became a grandmother, she thought, well, her name, Barbara, was a mouthful for a toddler, and Millie was nice and easy to say, so why not use Millie as her grandmother name? And she did, and it stuck, and I think Millie is kind of cute. Now, some of the grandmother names were chosen as a way to honor somebody else in their life, somebody who had passed away. And that was the case for this grandmother name, Shushu. Shushu was a heartfelt tribute to this grandmother's own mother, whose name was Shirley. She passed away too young to be a grandmother, and this grandmother adopted Shushu as her grandmother name because it was her father's pet name for her late mother. The name keeps her mother's memory alive and connected to the next generations. Now, this one, Babe, is all about legacy. You see, this grandmother-to-be had always been called Babe by her grandparents and her aunt. And when her aunt passed away, she worried the name would disappear. But her daughter had the brilliant idea to carry it on as a grandmother name. And now, 21 years later, she's still Babe to her grandchildren. Another woman who also wanted to honor her mother was about to become a grandmother at the same time that she was helping to take care of her own mother who suffered from dementia. And her mother would say, I feel woozy all the time. So this grandmother-to-be thought she would choose Woozy as her grandmother name. And she did, as a way to memorialize her own mom and remind her of her. Now, oftentimes, names were given by the grandchild, either intentionally or unintentionally. And I hadn't heard of this before, but apparently some grandparents and parents decide to wait and let the grandchild decide what they're going to call their grandparents. And sometimes the grandkids, the grandchildren, just get the names wrong, and that's what sticks. And that was the case with the woman who actually wrote the article. She called herself Grandma Babs one time during a FaceTime meeting with her grandchild, and the grandchild couldn't say that. Instead, they said Babka. And so that became her grandmother name, Babka, which is pretty cute. Now, one grandmother was waiting and waiting for her grandchild to decide what to call her, and she waited 2 years, and finally she was like, okay, come on. And so jokingly she said, look, you can either call me Queen Bee or Circe, but you need to call me something. Well, her little granddaughter decided she liked Circe, and that became her grandmother name. Now, another woman who never really had the role model of a grandmother in her life was very excited about becoming a grandmother herself and put a lot of thought into her grandmother name. In fact, she wanted to be called Grammy, and she even had a bracelet that said Grammy. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, her little grandchild couldn't say Grammy, and it came out as Giggy instead. And so that became her grandmother name, Giggy, which she actually thought was really cute. And so she stuck with it. Sometimes they even call her Gigs. Another situation where they decided to wait and see what the grandchild would call them was when this little grandchild would be looking at pictures with their mom and dad, and because the grandparent didn't have a grandmother name yet, the daughter would say, and this is mom's mom, and the little one finally thought that the grandmother's name was Mom. And that's how that grandmother got her name, Mom. And finally, number 10. The one I teased you about in the opening, bad money. Yes, that actually became a grandmother's name. In fact, this grandmother ended up with 36 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So how did she get the grandmother name Bad Money? Well, her grandchild couldn't say grandma. Instead, it came out Bad Money. And her grandfather, her husband, jokingly said, well, she does like to spend money. And so they decided that Bad Money was actually a good grandmother name for this particular grandmother. And it stuck. Well, I hope that was fun and helpful to you, especially if you are on the hunt for the perfect grandmother name. And if you're interested, I have another video that I did with 7 trending grandmother names. So I'll put a link to that in the description and you can check those out too and see if any of those names resonate with you. And I'd love to know how you got your grandmother name. Did you wait and let the grandchildren decide what they were going to call you, or did you decide ahead of time? Anyway, I'd love to hear your grandmother origin stories. If you want to go ahead and shoot me a comment, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon here in the heart of Nanaland.